Dear Black women, so as a woman, we have blazed these trails together.
Blazed what trails together?
When we talk about the fight for women's rights to vote, the Woman Suffrage Movement, we often hear about names like Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. But what is often left out of the story is the powerful, relentless role of Black women who fought on two fronts, against sexism and against racism. This is the story of how the 19th Amendment came to be, and how Black women shaped, strengthened, and redefined the movement for equality in America. Watch and pay attention, and I will share my thought later.
Dear Black women, so as a woman, we have blazed these trails together.
Blazed what trails together? Oh, do you mean when Black women started the suffrage movement and then white women took it over and decided to leave Black women in the dust? Is that the trail you're talking about? Or how about the Me Too movement that was created by Black women and white women took it over and left Black women in the dust to the point where they had a march and didn't even invite Black women to speak at said march? Is that the trail we blazed together? Curious.
Women, to include Black women, got the right to vote after men.
After the Civil War, the suffrage movement splintered over race. Black women had to form their own organization to continue to fight for the right to vote. White women like Elizabeth Cady Stanton publicly denounced extending voting rights to Black Americans. The 19th Amendment was ratified in 1920, but it didn't end the fight for Black women to vote because white women stood in the way. They didn't come help us. We helped you get the right to vote, but y'all left us in the wind. Black women were actually granted the right to vote in 1965 after the Voting Rights Act was passed. This act enforced the 15th Amendment, which gave Black men the right to vote as well. Fun fact, in 1913, organizers of a woman suffrage parade in Washington, D.C. forced Black women to walk in the back of the parade separate from white participants. This was an example of the racism Black women faced during the suffrage movement. So again, we march with you, help you get your voting rights, and y'all left us in the wind. But continue.
Still not equal. Equality, equal pay. We still get less on the dollar. So why are you alienating a high percentage of allies? Like, why are you doing this?
This number hasn't changed in 3 elections. We're not alienating you. We're telling you that we're tired of doing all the work and we still get screwed by white women. It's because this number has not changed. So clearly, something is off here. This number has not changed. And now we are exhausted and we are taking a break and we are looking to each other because the next 4 years is going to be mad difficult for Black women. Especially.
What constitutes white? This is 2024.
While skin color is a factor, white is more about the social position and power dynamics associated with being perceived as white, not just a description of someone's complexion. The concept of whiteness developed through European colonialism and slavery, where light skin were used to establish a hierarchy of power. This is what whiteness is. Here's a more in-depth definition of what white is according to the social construct of race. You can go ahead and pause and read.
If it's just a black pack, like what? Where do you draw the line? Only certain Black people? Because I have 2% Nigerian. Am I allowed in?
No.
I don't know if you noticed, but the world is still being run by men.
White men. The men that you guys raise. The world is being run by white men. Gotta have your adjectives. And yeah, we've noticed.
Women had nothing to do with slavery. Literally. Like nothing. I'm sure we were saying, hey babe, this is pretty effed up because we're nurturing, we're loving, it's wrong.
Hey babe, it's pretty effed up.
Okay, we had to stop this because this is too much.
Yeah, I feel like this palm-colored woman,
She's delusional.
deliberately or not, she's trying to gaslight something here. Because why would you say palm-colored people did not have a hand in slavery, yet they were whipping black babies to their unalivement?
Right, and yet they were just joyfully benefiting from the servitude of Black women. If they had nothing to do with it, why were they
been
okay?
number one to speak up for the rights of Black women from the minute Black women were being raped by their husbands,
sons, and brothers.
All men combined in their
own family, the ones they birth, the ones they're married to, and the ones they grew up with. Another thing I want to say is, how comes she says white women had nothing to do with slavery when white women were okay with black women raising their own children and missing out on raising black children, the own that they birthed? Why were they okay with black women breastfeeding their own kids, missing out on breastfeeding the ones they birthed? This does not make sense. Let's continue.
Why were they okay with their husband selling the babies of black women to other plantation owners? These black women had to suffer the trauma of knowing you have given birth but you're not raising your kid. This kid is probably going through the same thing you're going through in this plantation but in another plantation without their parents. And you say your ancestors had nothing to do with slavery.
The white women.
Yeah, the white women ancestors had nothing to do with slavery. You say you had nothing to do with slavery, yet you're still benefiting from the exact systemic racism your ancestors established before you.
Let's continue.
What Delulu land are you living in? White women owned slaves. In fact, research shows that white women were active participants in the slave economy, and they were as brutal as men in their management techniques. White women bought, sold, managed, and sought the return of enslaved people. The ones that ran away from the plantation, they were the main ones trying to get them back. They were often listed as owners in nearly 40% of the transactions involving enslaved women.
Guys, this reminds me of this movie we recently watched.
Before that, you know, this woman, she's chosen. I feel like at this age, you shouldn't be coming to the internet asking black women why you're not included.
There are books, man.
There are books, and you would have known that white women were actively participating in slavery before you said that your white women had nothing to do with slavery. Read some books and get some knowledge.
They also fought in courts to preserve their legal ownership over enslaved people, because owning a large number of enslaved people made a woman a better marriage prospect. The Mississippi Married Women's Property Law of 1839 was the first law in the United States to give married women ownership rights over enslaved people. It wasn't like they were like, no, we don't want that law. We don't want to be able to own people. And let's not forget the Casual Killing Act of 1669. It was written to protect rich white women from legal punishment.
Very important
what she's about to say. And dare I say, I now really do understand why they are vehemently pushing for black history to be totally wiped out. Because you know, when you
can't lie to people when the truth is
out there. Because when we first started Reaction, we could hear a lot of black Americans say, my people never forget what they did. Because if you don't forget what they did, it prevents it from happening again. But then pushing for the very thing, black history, to be wiped out, is them calling for future descendants of black people to not know what happened.
Yeah, because it looks like they've successfully done that in their own community, because not teaching the true history.
You can almost believe this palm-colored person when she's speaking, because she's speaking with such conviction.
And she does believe she has a message to pass. Let's watch.
Women were unaliving defenseless biracial children of their husbands and enslaved women. The women in Virginia were unaliving the biracial children in horrific ways. They were angry that the spouses were having plenty of children outside of their marriages. And because I'm on TikTok, I'm gonna go ahead and let you read that last paragraph here. The small children were routinely all of that stuff. So go ahead and pause to read all that. The white men did not want to chastise these rich white women after they unalived children. So that's why they created this law, to justify white women unaliving biracial children by saying if you did it because you were correcting them, then it's okay. Kind of like qualified immunity that police officers enjoy in this country.
Why there's this divide, and especially when we all need each other? What happened? Why are you guys mad at white women?
We are angry because white women are the problem. You guys are the largest demographic in the country. Out of 250 million white people, 60% to 65% of them are white women. Yet you guys continue to do this. continuously stabbing us in the back. While we're out here fighting for the rights of all women, this is what you guys do. We are exhausted now. So in this moment, we're going to be thinking about us, resting. Y'all go out there and go do the work. We have been shouldering the responsibility for everyone's freedom in this country for far too long. It is time for you to get up and go work. We are resting. And I suggest that you maybe follow some more Black women creators and learn, because clearly you are uneducated on the history of women, period, in this country. Have a good day.
We are tired of the popular narrative, if you're in trouble, go find a Black woman. No, we are in the front lines of so many marches and causes that have very little to do with us. That's got to stop. Over the next 4 years, we got to pour into each other and ourselves like we've been pouring into other people. We are constantly getting let down, beat down by everybody around us. That's got to stop. From now on, we literally need to mind our business. Don't ask us for nothing, because we're taking this moment to rest. Don't expect anything, because we're taking this moment to rest. Black women, we got to pour into ourselves, into our families, and other Black women. The entire world has never held back on their dislike and disdain for Black women. And as Black women, we just continue to love and pour into the world anyway, even though they don't like us. Over the next 4 years, we've got to mind our business. We've got to start a business, start earning and saving. We have to start pouring into ourselves and each other, Black women. And then we got to rest.
Dear Black women, so I did a video yesterday addressing specifically Black women. I just wanted to see how long my video would last before being taken down for violating community standards. Didn't take long. So, as a woman, we have blazed these trails together. We did this together. We need to stand together. Women, to include Black women, got the right to vote after men. They're still leading the race. It's still not equal. Equality, equal pay. We still get less on the dollar. So why are you alienating a high percentage of allies? Like, why are you doing this? Separation will lead nowhere, and in the real world, aside from TikTok, we have to bargain together. We have to do this together. Why are you alienating? And what constitutes white? This is 2024, and most of us are blended. My family is blended. You know, I have cousins that are married to beautiful Black women, or even Black men. So there's a lot of mixed in my family. So if it's just a Black pack, like where do you draw the line? Only certain Black people? Because I have 2% Nigerian. Am I allowed in? I think we all should be allowed in because we're women, and this is our battle together. I don't know if you noticed, but the world is still being run by men. Men that love war and that love keeping us divided. So why would you want to divide yourselves? Women had nothing to do with slavery, literally, like nothing. I'm sure we were saying, hey babe, this is pretty effed up, because we're nurturing, we're loving, it's wrong. That was men. So why this hate on white women? What has a white woman? Because we're somewhat married to white men? My husband's not a racist, or we're Gen X. Like, we grew up together. I went to school. I learned so much from the Black culture because of desegregation, and I loved it. Rockin' a robin all day long, puffin' a puffin', and we're doing the double dutch. Like, I loved it, and we were friends. So I don't know what happened and why there's this divide, and especially when we all need each other. Can someone let me know what's going on and what changed to all the hate on white women? Because I would certainly like to know what happened. Because I don't feel like we all have friends that are diverse. So do you think there's some little pocket of, a place where we're not all interacting, engaging, in the neighborhood? It's diverse. So what happened to where there's black pack hate against white women? I don't know what happened. Why are you guys mad at white women? Seriously, I just want to know. My friends didn't get the memo. I have a beautiful friend that has a doctorate. It's tons. I have every ethnicity of friends. I don't know if they get the memo because we still love each other. So I don't know. Are these educated? Black pack? Like what? I don't know. Someone let me know. Okay.
The Woman Suffrage Movement began in 1848 at the Seneca Falls Convention in New York, where women first publicly demanded the right to vote. They declared that all men and women are created equal. But even at the historic meeting, black women were largely excluded from leadership. White suffragists feared that including them would alienate potential supporters from the South. Still, black women did not wait for an invitation. They started their own movement for justice, equality, and power. From the very beginning, black women were at the heart of both abolitionist movements and women's suffrage. Sojourner Truth, a formerly enslaved woman, delivered a famous speech, Ain't I a Woman, in 1851. She exposed the hypocrisy of a society that praised womanhood but denied black women respect, protection, and rights. Then came Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, a poet, lecturer, and activist who reminded white suffragists that freedom for some women was not enough. In 1866, she said, "We are all bound up together in one great bundle of humanity." And later, Ida B. Welch, a fearless journalist and anti-lynching crusader, challenged racism within the suffrage movement itself. When white organizers tried to force black women to march in segregated sections during the 1913 Women's Suffrage Parade in Washington, D.C., Ida refused and marched proudly with her Illinois delegation. After decades of protests, arrests, and activism, women finally achieved a historic victory. On August 18, 1920, the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was ratified, declaring that the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abrogated on account of sex. It was a triumph, but it was not freedom for all. Many black women were still denied the right to vote through racist laws like literacy tests, poll taxes, and intimidation in the Jim Crow South. So while white women celebrated, black women understood that the fight was far from over. They continued organizing, forming groups like the National Associations of Colored Women, founded by Mary Church Terry and others, and later the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority and Delta Sigma Theta, which became major forces for civic engagement and voting rights. The work did not end in 1920. Black women carried the torch for decades, linking voting rights to the later struggle for racial justice. Fannie Lou Hamer, a sharecropper from Mississippi, stood before America during the 1960 Civil Rights Movement and declared, "I am sick and tired of being sick and tired." Septima Clark taught thousands of black citizens how to read and write so they could pass racist literacy tests. Ella Baker, the quiet powerhouse behind the scenes, mentored young leaders who founded the Student Nonviolence Coordinating Committee, one of the key organizations that led to the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And let's not forget the countless unnamed women, teachers, mothers, church leaders who turned their kitchens and living room into organizing spaces. They proved that the fight for the vote was not just a bailout, it was about dignity, equality, and power. Black women redefined what suffrage really meant. They did not just want a right written on paper, They wanted a living democracy that included everyone, from Sojourner Truth to Stacey Abrams. Their activism continues to shape American politics and civil life. Their message remains clear. Freedom for all women means nothing if it is not freedom for all women. The 19th Amendment was a milestone, but it was only the beginning. The true victory came from the generations of black women who refused to give up until every voice could be heard at the ballot box. So, the next time you vote, remember, it is not just a right, it is a legacy built by women who risk everything to make sure democracy includes them too. Thank you for watching, guys. Don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts in the comment box below. Until next time, cheers and have a good one.